doing small events and people, events with 300 or 400 people, is there more pressure when it's a royal event or not?
Buds. If you're arranging it from bud form, it would last you 4, 5, 6 days depending how warm the room is. The sweet peas would go over, the nigella would drop, but you'd still get their lovely seed heads. Just pack that in with some moss just to hold it securely, and you'll see it holds it in well and securely. You need to make sure you have sound mechanics when you're creating your arrangement. So we prepped all that for you. Just a third full of water because we're going to be moving it around and it might be travelling home on your lap. You never know your luck. So don't need to drown ourselves. And then we're going to start off with our foliage. So we start off foliage first to create a lovely framework.
Is it always foliage first?
Unless you're making a garland and unless you're making a bouquet, in which case you start to build through. Generally speaking, foliage first, and it's your least interesting, your most robust materials first. Because what you don't want to do is damage things by stuffing other things in alongside or
So
over
is that the
them.
only reason? It's not for sort of structure or...
It's to give you your framework, it's to set the shape and size of your arrangement, and also to decide, so if this is going to be on a dining table, I might want it to be low and long and skinny. If it's on a round table, I might want to be more all round. If it's on a console table or a mantelpiece, I might want to have some height in it. If I was doing a mantelpiece, I would have a higher cloud of chicken wire and always work from the very back. This I'm envisaging might be a gorgeous dining table arrangement, the sort of thing that might grace your table whilst we are here.
Have you noticed
at
I've
home
gone
house.
quiet?
Simon, is there anything about proportion?
Not to me ever, because I have this strange ability to create an arrangement that feels in scale, to my opinion anyway, in scale to the container. There's lots and lots of rules, and if you study Ikebana, which is the Japanese art of floristry and flower arranging, there's lots of symbolism attached to those
It's
rules.
stunning.
And it's stunning, but it's just not my jam. I like flowers and plants to do their thing and be where they are. And so I also like the harmony of disharmony. I like one thing winging off where everything else is going in the other direction. So, and I don't think there should ever be any rules to flower arranging and floristry other than what you're doing is fit for purpose and is going to survive the cab home.
Is that one too big?
Well, where are you making it for? Is it for your long, low dining table? Is it for your...
Simon, what are those flowers you're doing now?
I'm using, this is a viburnum, variety of viburnum. So it looks quite hydrangea-like, all gorgeous, British, seasonal, all from New Covent Garden Flower Market, of which I'm a massive fan and advocate.
Can you say that again, Simon? Which one?
New Covent Garden Flower Market in Vauxhall.
Do we have to go at 5 a.m?
You don't necessarily if you want the pick of the crop, but if you ever want to go, I would recommend going Chelsea Flower Show week or Christmas time.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's filled with peonies, sweet peas, all the gorgeousness we're playing with today is all over the flower market and it's magical.
What is interesting, if you look at the gardens at Chelsea and also the Great Marquee, is, and if you look at the sort of the build-up to Chelsea, they have huge stands of plants and flowers, absolutely huge. But also the designers will swap. And I said to Andy Sturgeon,
Do they?
yeah,
What, between each other?
Yeah, I've run out, or because things go wrong. And when you go round, they'll have sort of like cotton wool socks round them to try and keep them looking pristine. And then you might get rain on Saturday or Sunday, so by the time the judging comes, they've lost something, and they'll go round and behind, they'll have like perhaps 6 or 7 more, and somebody else might help them out. And I'm always amazed at how much they do all help each other out. I know they're not in competition, but it is such a lovely atmosphere. But I said, like, I thought last year we were going to have dahlias everywhere.
Yes.
And I love dahlias. They're back in fashion, but love them. Real crowd pleasers. Hardly any of the gardens last year did.
No.
And I said, to Andy Sturgeon, what plants did you decide on, these plants for this year? Why did you decide? and he said, look at all the gardens, Nicky, and he said they'll have done well. When they were going around the nurseries, they'll be like the best of. So he said all the gardeners will use them because it's been a good year for tulips or whatever it is. And I thought it was all sort of worked out by each plant, but not at all. When they're actually keeping to the brief, they'll look at the plants in the area that will work so well, and they'll be using those, and that's why you'll see these themes coming through. Are you laughing at that?
Well, I follow Anne-Marie Powell, who's an amazing garden designer. And she put on her Insta, it might even have been this morning if it wasn't yesterday, that she was just swooping around the nursery, pulling her last lot of plants now.
Yeah.
And you think that that's within days of needing to have that garden finished. It's incredibly last minute, isn't it?
Yeah. And then you've got the other end of it, where the lady asked about the trees and what plants that they use. They will go to the nurseries in all over. They're being a little bit more careful now because of sustainability and air miles, but there's a olive tree, I should probably say this, but there's an olive tree that you will see at Chelsea nearly every year, and it's in a massive container which you can't see, and it'll be in a garden. It's about 800 years old. It's incredible. You'll walk around the garden and not realise because of all the planting around it, and then at the end of Chelsea it'll be taken out, taken back, intact, and it'll be used again.
Rented.
Yeah, and all those trees, you know, the bulb, what do you call it at the bottom with the roots? It's like a big bulb, isn't it?
Oh, the sort of very bulbous spot.
The trees themselves are all contained as they're planted. So that
it's an incredible skill that they can put such enormous trees into quite small containers, and a lot of the trees that they use, they'll have selected several years earlier with a design in mind, and then we'll have them containerised over 3 or 4 years. It's quite a process that lots of the specialist nurseries engage in.
We're definitely going to benefit this year from the 39 gardens, and again I don't want to discount the floral, the Great Marquee or the Great Pavilion and the Floral Marquee as well, but because of Chelsea not being from 2019, you've got all these gardens coming in. We've got double the gardens that we had last year. And when it comes to designers, I think nearly 50% are new designers this year, garden designers.
And lots of them are women.
Yes, nearly half are women for the first time, nearly half, which is amazing. Yeah, and again, if any of you are real passionate gardeners, you might know Sarah Everly, who's an incredible garden designer. She's the most successful. She's got a garden this year as well.
Simon, have you seen a shift from plant-led versus colour-led?
Certainly within lots of weddings, the post-lockdown weddings, so from sort of August of last year, there was much more colour within them, which have always traditionally been white and ivory, and then you'll get a bride that thinks she's being startlingly original by having a bit of pink. And it's always really hard to keep a straight face when they tell me they can't. It's a really great colour concept. And I'm trying to slowly close the portfolio to show 19 pictures of past weddings in that same colour palette. It's really lovely that people are really welcome about yellow. Clients hate yellow, people hate yellow, and I adore yellow. Yellow and blue is one of the most joyous combinations. A vase of yellow flowers is literally a vase of sunshine and joy. So all the dahlias, all the marigolds, all the gorgeous brights and jazzy. I'm a kid of the 70s from Warwickshire, so I love all of that. It can't be too loud and over the top for me. And they are gradually creeping back, which is very refreshing.
This is where Simon should be helping me. I'm just going to say it now. So if we're doing this on television,
Don't have another florist in the room.
If any of you are interested, if you watch next Friday's show, you can watch it on iPlayer. All going well and schedules do change, but at the moment I'm down to do a floral display with Simon, and just remember this.
And do you know what it is we're doing?
No, go on.
Secret, it's a Jubilee thing.
Oh, nice. I'm taking that home, by the way. No, you're not having it. I'll be taking that one home. That's not
If I take the tone down, which is terrible, the Hello Magazine question.
Go on.
When the celebrities or the royals are sponsoring the garden, how much engagement do they actually have? How much involved?
Again, I like that one. When Kate, look at me, so familiar, when Kate did her children's garden, she wasn't doing any press at the time. This is my opinion, this isn't the RHS, by the way. She wasn't doing any press. There'd been some negative press around, and she came down and she was down every single day, which actually caused quite a few problems for security. And she was not interested in anything else but her garden. Came down in jeans and a sweatshirt, and that garden has gone somewhere. Where has it gone?
It's
It was
at the
beautiful.
RHS Wisley.
Is it the play area there?
Yes.
Beautiful. And she came down every week. Now, when it comes to the design of the garden, they probably have an influence, but they would go with the designers on that. But she was really, really hands-on. Really hands-on. I got Radio 2 involved with the Chelsea Flower Show a few years ago, and sadly Zoe couldn't do her garden because of personal something happened in her life. But Jeremy Vine came down, Joe Wiley came down nearly every day the week before the build because they were smaller gardens. Chris Evans less so, but he gave us great coverage.
He did.
So we were really grateful on that side, and I'd introduced Radio 2 to the RHS a few years before and said, look, you guys are brilliant, because it's all about spreading the word, because the people that go to Chelsea already know how brilliant it is. And most people in this room know how great gardening is and how good it is for your health, whether you garden or not, just being in outside spaces. But there's still a lot of the country that struggles with that, and it's not what perhaps their parents did when they were younger. Culturally, that might be the case. They might not have the finances, so they're really, really spreading the word. And you know what, if a celebrity or royal helps get the message across, it's a good thing. Still got a long way to go, of course, but and then you get other celebrities that come down. I was very fortunate that. Are you ready for this name drop? Ready? Good dog. Peter Kay. And,
Oh, God, yes.
He was filming Car Share. So I said to the team, oh, nearly fell down. I said to the team, I've got Prince Charles' interview. The following year, what am I going to bring? Well, luckily, Peter is. What did you use?
Those don't last.
I knew that. So luckily, Peter's a
With
friend.
your lovely please.
I'm scared I'm going to take it back. And pins. Right, white or pink?
Either.
Pink. Pink?
They're all going to go in.
Peter rang me up and said, look, I'd love to bring my mum down to Chelsea. Is that going to be possible? I was like, yeah, no, it'd be lovely to have you. And he actually rang my husband because it was my birthday. He rang up to leave a message for me. And he said, I'd like to bring my mum down. Do you think Nicky can organise it? And my husband, because he's a top man, said to Peter, she'd love to do that. And you could give her an interview at the same time. So Peter Kay came down with his mum, first time to Chelsea. Absolutely loved it. And do you remember Car Share?
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, Peter is a private person. And the team at Chelsea decided that we would get a buggy and decorate it all with flowers all the way around and have Peter and Nicky on the top. And I said to him, do you mind? And he was like, no, and he loved it. And the amount of people at Chelsea, as we were going around and we were filming, were doing like, is that Peter Kay? But you get everybody, Rod Stewart, Dame Helen Mirren, and people just love coming. There are tickets still available. I haven't done this to advertise tickets, but there are tickets available.
Your beat's too low. Can't see it.
No, it's fine. We like something to drag our eyes.
Do you know what? You're all going to want his and no one's going to want to take mine home. Shall I put this one here? Is that better?
So Simon, that's got a bit short flowers. What would be your advice for somebody who's just at home starting out with an arrangement?
So I almost anything, if you watch ITV's Love Your Weekend with the lovely Mr. T, virtually anything and everything I show, with the exception of what we did on Sunday, I try and always do a bit of flower porn, which is this, and then a bit of what everyone can do at home.
Which is like
So
2 bunches.
I would say, if it depends where it is. If it's on your dining table, you could find a fabulous charity shop, go and raid your cupboards. You know a fabulous charity shop. Go and raid your granny's cupboard, your auntie's cupboard, whoever's cupboard, and get out all those bits of old porcelain or china or stuff people don't use anymore. Put one flower head in each. If you want to, go and buy 10 stems of gorgeous Sweet William. Lovely, lovely Sweet William that didn't make it into the bunch earlier. These are one of the cheapest flowers you can buy. If you just stick a stem of that into each of 10 vases down the table at different heights, a few candles in amongst it, it won't have cost a fiver and won't have taken any time. So there are ways of doing it, and I would always say if you're going to create an arrangement and you want some impact, spend as much as you can afford on one thing and do a proper statement of it. If you're doing something like this, it does cost a load of money, but you'd be so disappointed if you came here and saw me and Nicky arranging a bunch of them. So we're definitely spoiling you, but on the whole, these are special occasion arrangements, but you can definitely create something just as gorgeous. And also, if you've got a container you can grow. Mint is vociferous, lemon balm is vociferous in the garden, they make amazing foliages to add to an arrangement. 3 stems of sweet peas and 5 stems of mint in an arrangement is just the essence of summer and smells gorgeous. Sweet peas grow like a dream in the garden, mint likewise.
It's quite often it's the foliage that's hard to find in London.
Yeah.
It is, but if you find your local flower shop, encourage them to buy from New Covent Garden Flower Market, where there is a fabulous stand called GB Foliage, and they sell just British foliage. And it's a joy. And do a bit of bartering with your neighbours. You can't go and cut it from parks and gardens because that gets you arrested. However...
You sound like you tried that.
No, but I know a florist who did, way back in the 80s, and she was arrested. So it is worth growing a few things that you can. Scented pelargoniums, herbs, all of that in a pot, gorgeous, on a windowsill, on a balcony, will be a beautiful thing to add to an arrangement.
We're probably going to have to wind my arrangement up in a minute, aren't we? I'll put a few more things in.
Simon, with the water in this, would you have to change the water after a certain time, or do you just top it up? Or
I would just top it up, and also this is designed to be a gorgeous thing in the middle of a table for a party, and we would expect it to last 3 or 4 days. If I was wanting it to last longer, I would have done flowers that were more backward, and I would keep an eye on them. Ideally
When you say
change...
all backward, what do you mean?
So closed, so roses that aren't open, peonies that aren't open, they're in bud, so they're going to start and open in a few days. The only backward thing I've got for you is because they didn't come in from market yesterday, these gorgeous flag iris that only last a day, but when they open they're a total joy. They become this fabulous flamboyant sort of flamenco dress. But they only last a day, smell amazing. At the moment they're quite unprepossessing. So if you can, and it's flowers to be at home to last, then I would suggest changing the water every day is the best thing.
So using any of the stuff that you get sometimes with the flower bouquet to make the flowers last longer, that's totally useless, right?
It's a little bit of a powdered bleach, it's a little bit of food, and on the whole it's granules to make it look much more exciting. The best thing to keep your flowers fresh is scrupulous hygiene of buckets, vases and all containers that they're in, and changing the water regularly.
And cutting the stems?
Cut the stem, always, any hard and woody stem, on an angle and split up the stem. Soft stems, and things like cow parsley and all that lovely soft foliage that's around now. If you cut that, plunge the stems into, cut end into boiling water, in a bucket about that much of boiling water, just wrap some newspaper around to protect them from the steam, leave it for 10 minutes and then top that bucket up with cold water. That will help condition it. It expels the airlock. When a hydrangea goes floppy, when a rose goes floppy, same treatment, it works like a dream.
can you revitalise them the same way?
You can revitalise sunflowers that way, yes.
Simon, I remember my aunties adding sugar in the buckets.
There's lots of old wives' tales about sugar, pennies, lots of things like that. But to be honest, we're putting our flag iris in now.
Right, it's time.
The final act.
It's time.
Simon, do you have a method, or do you just do it? Because it was beautiful, it was absolutely stunning. Sorry, Nicky.
I I know.
Nicky, yours is not. There's nothing wrong with it. You always.
Nicky, yours is not. I think we should probably just leave it there.
No, but you're Nicky. Simon's got lots of experience.
Yes, yes.
Whereas mine would look like yours.
But we're wrapping up. Now, so when you watch the show next Friday, because I know you're all going to watch it, just remember I've got 4 minutes to create something like this with him, and they'll be laughing in my ear as well. That is the truth. The gallery often, there's a lovely gentleman called John, Scottish John, and in my ear he'll say something with a Scottish accent along the lines of, "Very good, lovely, well tried," you know, as I wrap it up now, please, we're nearly in time.
Simon, my mother has been the secretary of her local flower club for 45 years, and I'm just wondering what's changed over 40. What can I tell her that is so that she looks really with it when she's going?
Oh, I do love
I love that. She must eradicate all floral foam from her arranging existence, which is a really brutal thing to say to someone who's arranged for 45 years. However, she was arranging before it existed and was using chicken wire and frogs and damp sand. So all those techniques she started out with, all those old vases with a bit of chicken wire in that she used, and then put to the back of the cupboard and got that block of green stuff because it was quick and easy. She just needs to go back and revisit all of those. And if she's been arranging for 45 years, she obviously loves it, so you don't need to give her many words of encouragement other than keep doing it.
Yeah, that is
So do you
amazing.
think the constant surprise school is dead?
The old school arranging is really on trend, the constant surprise. Vases are hugely collectible. There's a lot of the sort of Gen Z millennials that think they've arranged something for the first time ever because it's in a frog, which is a pin holder or a piece of chicken wire. When I first worked in London when I was 20, which was 30-something years ago, we weren't allowed flower foam in the shop I worked in. It was just chicken wire and moss. Everything was made in that. On the whole, I would always choose to arrange in chicken wire. You get a lovely loose, soft arrangement. The flowers move and do their thing. In flower foam, you worry about hiding that hard green brick. So it's something when I've written books on the subject, and when I look at my early flower books, there was a lot of floral foam.
Yeah.
It was easy, it's quick, and still for a flower shop up in Warwick where I'm from, they want to make £20 worth of flowers look like a £40 arrangement. With a little block of flower foam, some green and some imported flowers, you can do that. So I'm very aware I work in a really rarefied world where my clients will pay hundreds for flowers. We can be seasonal and behave in a really responsible way. But it's small steps, and so my last book, I've left out floral foam, but all but about 3 projects, because I just wanted to show that you don't need it to create something gorgeous, as Nicky has shown, and so have I.
I've tried. You know, like the before and after. The fact that I have done it a few times with Simon in the past, I think really what it does illustrate is how great he is the honest truth. Because he's chatting while he's answering all your questions, I'm concentrating and ignoring all of you, trying to get it all in, trying to look and see what he's doing. And he does make it, and that's why when people are florists for a reason, they have that creative gene, they're passionate about it, and they bring so much joy. And again, we haven't really touched on it, but if you go to Chelsea, the floral marquees are extraordinary. There's